so that we don't waste any time. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining the final session of the iPitch Ask Me Anything session today. We have the pleasure of having Dr. Samarth Shetty today, talking about the benefits of healthcare startups applying to iPitch. A little about Dr. Samarth Shetty before we begin. He has completed his MFDS RCS from the Royal College of Surgeons of England, London, and FFD RCS from Royal College of Surgeons of Ireland, Dublin. He's presently working as a consultant in the Department of Cranio-Maxillofacial Surgery at Narayana Health City, Bangalore. So during this session, all entrepreneurs can basically learn about the benefits of applying to the BioNest program. And I have a couple of questions that I would like to start with. If at all, at any point of time you would if you have any follow-up question, please raise your hand and we will call out your name and you can ask questions. So before I'll just start with the questions. I hope that's okay, Dr. Samarth. Okay. All right.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Archita.
Great. Awesome. So the first question I'd like to ask is, what, according to you, are some of the exciting opportunities in the medtech sector that are considered as the next big thing in the industry?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question because this is something even I've been thinking lately. So just looking at the journey of our own TBI over the years. So one of the strange things that we have is about 3 or 4 years ago, we started to see a shift in trend. And, people were going more into AI a lot. And then COVID happened and everything changed again. So everybody went into diagnostics and COVID related. Now I feel again, the trend is towards AI. And we ourselves are seeing a lot of AI associated startups coming. Even MSMF in-house is also working on a couple of AI related projects. So in my opinion, and from what I've seen and learned over the years, I think AI would be the next exciting opportunity. Surely our capacity in computation allows us to do much more than what we could do, and year on year it's getting better. So a lot of opportunity both in the health space as well as maybe other areas in healthcare.
Right. Do you think that it ties into having the whole, digital health conversations that we've started to have right after COVID happened, everything moving to a digital world?
Yeah. I think, the mindset has changed a lot in terms of getting everything digital or simplifying things right from payment. We all, maybe initially we were reluctant to use it and people were like, is it safe? Of course it does happen, but on the whole, the mindset is to get things digital. This whole work from home culture, we don't want to labor on things that can be done easily through technology. And if AI can do it, it's even more better. So, it's just a culmination of different thoughts.
Absolutely. Great. I'll move on to the next question. As you're all aware, building a medtech enterprise is a long process. According to you, how can entrepreneurs systematically reduce the time from ideation to business?
It's a very difficult question. And set up a startup is it's a huge challenge. The people who actually have to stop midway or discontinue, it's a huge number of people who don't eventually end up doing. But having said that, we work primarily with healthcare related startups. And one of the things that really helps is for them to understand the clinical problem better right at the beginning. So they know what they're working at and what they're developing. And also they know if it will work and if there will be people who are interested. Of course, there will always be a percentage where it doesn't make sense now, but somehow miraculously 2-3 years down the line, it just was the best thing that could have happened. So that's always there. But it's always better initially if you can speak to the end users, your doctors, or try to understand the clinical problem better. Especially with medtech, what we realize is a lot of them come from engineering background. Healthcare is more of something they've picked up on the internet or through reading some. So they don't really understand what goes through the clinic or what exactly happens. Strangely, I feel a lot of engineers engineers and doctors think very differently. So we know, like in a machine, you can change a part, but in a human body, you cannot. It's not that easy, or you cannot do it. So the mindset is very different, and what is possible and what is not is very different. So engineers need to understand this. At the same time, even doctors need to understand what engineers are capable of. Only then they can give them inputs that will change, like can create a paradigm shift in whatever technology we're trying to develop.
Right. Do you think having like the right component of engineers and maybe someone in the healthcare sector would, in their startup itself, that would be a good start to begin with?
Yeah, here at NH, we have seen this all the time. I've been associated with NH for the last 10 years. And even back then when I joined NH, one of the biggest attraction was how closely we were working with innovators, not just entrepreneurs, but just innovative ideas were being implemented. It was part of the fabric of NH. So over the years, we've been involved more with startups and innovations. So we always work together, and now it's become a more comfortable relationship. So we know it's easier for us, most of our doctors, to interact with engineers and researchers.
Oh, great. The next question is, based on your experience, what are some of the common mistakes that medtech entrepreneurs make? I think it just organically flows.
Like I said, to build a startup is not easy. So, there's one element of your product and whatever IP you're developing in, but there are a lot of other issues of finance and making sure you have a good enough team. We can sustain it for a long time till your product comes out on the market. But yeah, startups need to act fast. If for any reason, any of these reasons, things don't move very quickly, your success rate also drops. That's what I've heard. And I've also been involved in a few startups myself, which I try to. So this is my learning as well, that you have to move fast. 2 years should keep, that's what I would do in the next venture. But in 2 years, you have to get to the next level. Otherwise, it's too slow. You will not get traction to get it successful. With healthcare, like I said, speak to know your end user, take a lot of input from from a lot of doctors and consultants who can guide you in the right direction.
Right. Sorry. My follow-up question, what do you think would be that time period for, the entrepreneurs to do this bit of piloting when it comes to, they have their product ready, and then do you think they should go to the doctors after the product ready, or they should involve them right when in the
right at the beginning. They should know that there is a need. Whatever they're developing, people will end up using it. It may be a brilliant idea. Majority of the times, but you need to understand your end user. If you'll have to, it's something like you're trying to sell the product right before you start making it. So when you pitch it to your doctor, and even though most of the times they are hesitant or reluctant, but if you're able to convince them at the beginning that this is something you will need, it will change the way you practice, definitely then you have this. It is worth pursuing.
Right. Great. All right. Can you share details on the BioNest program? A little bit about who should apply for it and the overall benefits that entrepreneurs receive from this program.
Yeah, okay. So I represent both NH and MSMF. The TBI is run by the Mazumdar Shah Medical Foundation. This was set up in 2013. And the purpose of this foundation was to do basic research through the Mazumdar Shaw Center for Translational Research. Then they have an outreach program where they want to support entrepreneurship and social empowerment, those kind of things. So the TBI is under that wing. And of course, we have a philanthropy wing, which is the Mazumdar Shaw Cancer Outreach Program. So these are the main branches of the Mazumdar Shaw Medical Foundation. Our board consists of very eminent people, Dr. Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, Dr. Devi Shetty, Dr. Paul Salins. So it's a very well-known, reputed board. We have a lot of in-house research activity going. So because of which we have infrastructure to do all the basic science related work. So that is one attraction where a lot of startups who don't have facilities can avail of these resources right away. The second is we are nested within the Narayana Health City. So it's a very large, or probably one of the largest healthcare facilities in Bangalore. And it has all the specialties under one roof, and also very advanced services in healthcare is also provided, like bone marrow transplant and advanced medical oncology. So healthcare, if you're in the healthcare domain and if you want to, even to validate your concepts or your product, this is the right, we feel this is the right platform where you have access to just the doctors, even before you start anything, as well as to validate your product or the idea. Thirdly, we do partner with a lot of funding agencies, and we are recognized by BIRAC, and we run a Bioness program. We have been able to get funding for some of the promising startups through our network.
All right.
Did I answer? I think I've forgotten the question midway.
No. I mean, I think you answered it all in terms of what essentially the benefits are going to be for the entrepreneurs that apply to iPitch, and when it comes to being selected into the Bioness program. So I think it pretty much captures it. Yeah.
But from what I know is we are unique in a way that we are established within a healthcare setup, and we deal primarily with healthcare related entrepreneurs.
Right. All right. So moving on to the next question, how does being part of the hospital ecosystem help for all these entrepreneurs that are, looking to apply?
Yeah, I mean, just straight away, so a hospital such as ours, we see on an average of 1,200 or 1,800 outpatients per day. So doctors who attend to them are, as you can imagine, are extremely busy. And if you were to come and try to meet them on your own, that would be a very big challenge. So access to healthcare providers is the first advantage you have, where we from MSMF make sure that you're connected to the right doctor. So even in a department, you'll have multiple consultants who specialize in a particular domain. So it's not that every neurologist does everything under neurology. So that is there. So from the MSMF side, we try to match your requirement to the right consultants and connect you. So that is very important. So that's what I kept saying. It's very important to understand your clinical pain point before even you start working on your product. So you have a good access to clinicians, all specialties in one campus. It's also very difficult to do a clinical trial these days, and NH clinical trial department is very well established, and not just within the NH Health City, but they are partnered with a lot of other hospitals. So doing a trial becomes easier, and it's just coordinated from one point. So it is more easier that way.
Right. Thank you. And finally, any specific advice that you wish to share with the entrepreneurs based on your experience that will help them succeed in their journey?
Uh, okay, like I said earlier, I'm myself learning things. The landscape of entrepreneurship keeps changing, so we are all learning on the go. And I think some of the learnings that I've had on my way, I've shared. I feel one is the time. You have to move fast. The longer it takes for you to get your product out, it's like suicidal. So I think speed is of the essence. Second is you have to optimize your efforts, so you work on the problem and before you actually start putting things on the ground and get your idea in place. So yeah, these would be my personal learning, and this is what I would suggest. Speed, of course, for sure.
Right.
2 years is a very long time, and things can change.
Yeah. So just from the kind of, questions that we've been getting in the few sessions about the healthcare startups, they have maybe even the product ready or they have their prototype ready, and then they're just looking for the next step. So what do you think when it comes to applying to iPitch? Do you think that's something attractive to someone? Like, you would consider that sort of a person helping them with their prototype itself? Like they have it ready, they have done some bit of research from their end, and then they are coming to you. What are your inputs there?
We can certainly evaluate and give them our advice. I think that's one of the things we do at MSMF. Even before they get incubated formally, we have a committee that looks into this. Of course, we do it in partnership with Villgro. And we can always advise them and get our consultants to advise them on what would work or how they can improvise it. So that can always be done as a first stage.
Absolutely. Great. Right.
That's very important as well, because I think it's very important. I personally feel.
Right. Great. Yeah. And that this is really helpful, Dr. Samarth. I think for all the healthcare startups that are looking to, apply to iPitch and are basically finding out how exactly, having access to a direct facility such as the NH City, what benefits it entails, this is really helpful to know. And having that direct, entry point to medical practitioners, just it's almost like you're in the battlefield and you know exactly what's going on and what's the need and requirement, and then accordingly you are creating solutions. So that in itself is
moreover, NH itself is located in 23 places around India, so it's not just in Bangalore, and it's the clinical research department coordinates trials on all these centers. So it's not just in one center, but you have access in multiple other places just within the NH group.
Right. So do you think when they have their product ready, will they be able to, pilot it in all these NH centers?
So, it depends on the readiness of the product, and there is a process to it, which is a very standard and recognized process, and they have to follow the same process in order to get approvals. So we will also be doing the same, but prior to that, if there's any step that is remaining and that needs to be completed, we will guide them as to what needs to be done.
Great. All right. Great. This is super helpful. I'll just quickly, Rohang, any questions from FAQs that maybe we could share? And if at all, there are a lot of participants have been joining in the middle of the session. So if at all you have any questions that you'd directly like to ask, please go ahead. You can raise your hand and ask questions. We have another 10 minutes. So yeah, please feel free to do that. In case, Rohang, if there are any questions.
I'll take this one question, I think, which has been very repetitive throughout all our sessions was, as an applicant, I would like to know how to refine my application. And I would like to know any specific points or highlights which I should be highlighting or including in my application.
I'm not sure I understand what
so, yeah, I think this is more from what would you view as a possible, something, an innovation that you would want to look into? What are the 2 points that, you look at and that this is something that I would definitely like to know more about? So those key 2 points, if you had to say, what would that be?
Okay. Um, this is really difficult. It's never fixed, isn't it? So
Yeah, I think this, yeah, this comes from the perspective that, since there are these healthcare entrepreneurs, they have their innovation in place, how to get noticed. I think that's the idea, that, the basic feeling with which this question comes, that, what can they do to maybe make sure that, you notice their innovation. So, or actually, Dr. Samarth, you could maybe give examples of any prior innovations that you've seen that have really caught your attention, or that are currently doing really well. Any startups that you've been mentoring, supporting? I think that would be very relevant.
Yeah. So, of course, your initial pitch, that makes the first impression. So, we definitely, very often, sometimes at least, we feel that the entrepreneur is trying to educate you. So that's a little, so they have to get a balance in taking, because of course, the people on the panel who are also, they're not really the experts, but they all have a view. So that is never, it's more of a two-way communication on that presentation. That helps. I'm not saying that's the only one, but helps for the panel to know that this is someone who's willing to listen, who's willing to change, who's not just thinking, I know everything and I've done it, and this is a PhD, so I know everything. So that's from my experience, that helps, because I attend a lot of after interview discussions with the panel, with the group, that's the scientific committee. And this is something that I have noticed that helps. Second is for us personally, I think there are few specialities where we have very enthusiastic mentors, things like gynecology and medical oncology and stuff. So with them, we know that when we connect you with that mentor, they are able to equally promote your startup. So that adds value within the doctor's network as well. So that's very important, because if you're doing a product, say, for example, in gynecology, you want the mentor to advertise for you within their group, within their medical network. Only then you can reach out to more doctors and get more acceptance and get them to use it. That helps as well. So if you say two things, these two, I think, something I can think of from the top of my head.
Absolutely. This is very helpful for everyone who is like wanting to pitch their ideas. Definitely, this is universal. I feel it should always be like a two-way feedback mechanism. So yeah, that's really helpful. And any examples that you'd like us to give, Dr. Samarth, about any of the startups that you feel have done really well, given the support that they've received from NH and MSMF? Any such examples that you'd like to maybe share with us? One or two in case. Otherwise,
yeah, I don't know if I can call out their names, but yeah, one of them actually completed a trial successfully here at NH, and NH itself bought their device because the consultant who was working with them as the principal investigator found it very useful, and he pitched the idea to the management. So they actually went ahead and bought it. And I think if it works well, they may implement it around the network as well. So that's a big deal for the startup.
Wow, yeah, that in itself like showcases how, being selected, this is the kind of exposure that startups would get. So this is, awesome. Perfect. We actually have a question. I am not too sure. It says the operation, are there, does NH and MSMF, do they look at the operational aspects of healthcare? I think, Srinivas, if you could unmute yourself and maybe just elaborate what exactly you mean, what is the kind of innovation that you have in mind, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, hi. So what I mean by operational aspect is not related to, day-to-day operational aspect of hospital. It's not related with the medical field as such, but the operational side of it.
Okay. Do you have a software or something that you're talking about, like a digital health platform?
Like optimizing processes or monitoring how the hospital...
Yeah, so for example, finding out the cost of healthcare.
Oh,
Costing of healthcare at a
okay.
procedure level, at a patient level, or a department level, which is to deal with not really medical, but operational side of it.
So you've developed a program or a software that does it, or what is?
Yes, yes.
So
which gives you on a day-to-day basis at a patient level, what is the cost to the hospital, or at a procedure level, what is the cost to the hospital on a real-time basis. Yeah.
Okay. And you have implemented this in any center already? Is
We are doing POC right now with one of the medical college. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I don't think this requires a clinical validation, but it's probably a product that will be ready to, you'll have to pitch the idea to the management directly. In terms of innovation, I think to improve your product, you'll have to, I don't see a direct role, but of course, we do have a big corporate team. So if it's something to do with finance or so we can get one of the MBAs to, mentor you on what works, what doesn't. That's possible. But if it's a product which is ready, once your proof of concept is completed, you should just meet the hospital business team. And if they think it's useful, they will go for it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I don't know. I hope it was useful.
Sure, I'm sure. Given that the nature of the product is a little... Srinivas, sorry, you were saying something.
No, I think that's useful. Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect. Great. Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, I think we're almost at the end of the session. If any parting thoughts that you have, Dr. Samarth, that you'd maybe want healthcare entrepreneurs to know about and to keep in mind when it comes to this entire program and how, the BINUS program is going to support them? Anything that you'd like to maybe just quickly share?
Yeah, I would really like everyone, whoever is interested, to definitely come and visit our facility. So even if you don't know, you just have an idea, or you're not sure on whether you want to take it forward here, or you're talking to someone else anywhere else, but just visit our facility, the health city. So that will give you an idea of what is on offer here. Surely we do take pride in the quality of healthcare that is provided here, especially in this campus at NH. This is the largest of NH campuses. But also the intent is right, because the people who are behind this enterprise are people who want to change, who want to bring a change. So the intent is always to help and to innovate. So all I would say is visit, and then you decide before you make a decision. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. I think that's again very helpful and very something that I'm sure everyone would be happy and eager to do, so that they get a better idea of what exactly the structure entails and how they would benefit from it. Thank you so much, Dr. Samarth, for taking this time and spending it with us and helping us know more about the kind of facilities that MSMF NH provides to all healthcare startups. And I'm sure this has been very helpful. We will be sharing this with all our participants that are applying. And yeah, really thank you for taking out the time and doing this with us today.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, Akshita and the entire Villgro team for organizing this. I hope iPitch will be a great success, and we will be able to support a lot of startups through this program. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Samarth.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Samarth.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.